And really, it's open to everyone, beginners. If you've never tried yoga before, if you've never been in the sea before, we will guide you in there, and hopefully you'll feel in safe hands.
And you certainly got the weather for it. Joe Miles, who's celebrating the summer solstice at Portobello Beach. That's it for Good Morning Scotland. I'll be back with the Sunday show tomorrow morning at 10 with Martin Geisler. Time now for Zara.
Thanks very much, Graham. Oh, the solstice events sounded right up my street. If I was in my neck of the woods in Portobello, I'd be there at that. We have plenty to talk about this week, including a brand new drama about the Mitford sisters. Should Scotland trial a minimum income guarantee? And should students be prepared to be shocked and offended by views they hear at university? Mornings on BBC Radio Scotland with me, Zara Janjua. My guests today are journalist Hannah McGill, lawyer Ailey Douglas and Martin Raymond of Cloudline PR. Hello, good morning to you all.
Good morning.
Lovely to have you here. This week we're talking about a new psychological thriller on Prime Video. How should we describe Oasis fans? How will the US and UK react to events in the Middle East? And a lot more. But first, let's have a listen to some of this week's big moments.
You don't know that I'm going to even do it. You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do.
One of my sisters would become the most hated woman in Britain. Change probably is the only answer when you look at the state of the country.
A return to a Britain that is truly great.
I wondered if you'd like to come with. There too. Germany.
Scotland has 3 indigenous languages: English, Gaelic and Scots. Now we all ken what English and Gaelic are, but what is Scots?
Dead! Dead! Dead!
Are you not the line dancing club?
Yes.
11, 5.
Once you walk onto that mainland, there's no rescues.
Moving up and down again. Don't. Look at what's in front of you.
Yes, those are the week's big moments, and that will all be coming here on BBC Radio Scotland with me, Zara Janjua. And you can, of course, join the conversation by texting 80295 or send a WhatsApp on 08085 92 95 00. But first, a brand new drama depicting the lives of the notorious Mitford sisters. It's set in the 1930s and the series follows the aristocratic family as the siblings take, I think it's fair to say, a widely different path each in life. One becomes a novelist, another becomes a communist, and perhaps most famously, Diana Mitford married Oswald Mosley of the British Union of Fascists. With a cast including Bridgerton's Bessie Carter and Scotland's own Joanna Van Durham, let's hear a clip from that now.
It has always intrigued me, coming from a family of 7 children, how we turned out to be so different. How did it happen? It's a long story. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The estate we all grew up on had been in our family for hundreds of years. And for all that time, life had carried on here in much the same way.
Girls don't need school. We tried it once with Unity, and she was expelled after a month.
No, Dolly, she wasn't expelled. We were just invited to remove her.
One of my sisters would become the most hated woman in Britain. Real change probably is the only answer when you look at the state of the country.
A return to a Britain that is truly great.
I wondered if you'd like to come with. There too. Germany.
And there we have it, a clip from the Mitford sisters. Hannah, it sounds sleek, it sounds glossy. How does it go about telling the story of these incredible women?
Well, it is fairly sleek and glossy, as you say. And as you say, it sort of brings in certain familiar elements that have obviously become quite popular with, including with younger generations. So the particular glamorous associations of that sort of between the wars period that we've also seen in sort of other drama series. So it's clearly drawing in some prestige elements from the likes of The Crown and Downton Abbey and Bridgerton, as you mentioned. But it has this interesting premise, which is this set of real women. And I know that people have been trying to get a TV drama or a series about the Mitfords on screen for a very long time because it is such a rich story and a great opportunity for a bunch of actresses to embody these very different women. I think there are always risks with telling the story of people like particularly Unity and Diana Mitford, who are the two who went extremely far right.
Quite controversial.
Very much so. The most hated woman in Britain who married Diana, who married Oswald Mosley, but also Unity, who ended up deeply in love with Adolf Hitler, seemingly, and ended her days in Scotland on the tiny Inchkenneth off the Isle of Mull. So there's a danger of glamorising those figures, and so that would have been my slight fear going in, that this was also kind of, aren't we all wacky? And, but actually, we've only seen the first episode here, but I thought the way that it handled those sort of contrasts was very skillful. I thought the actresses were great. It has a kind of up energy without doing too much of that kind of let's do everything to a punk soundtrack or whatever that people often do with historical drama now. Yes. So I thought it was a really nice combination of kind of heritage drama that people feel quite comfortable and cozy with and something that has a bit more edge to it.
Ailey, Hannah's just mentioned there that apparently in the screenwriting industry, in the TV world, people have been trying to get this story away for some time. Can you tell why? Based on this first episode, a great, captivating story.
I mean, absolutely. It's a range of women's stories. So, and I think having sort of Nancy Mitford as the narrator here, and she has almost a sort of like Fleabag quality to her narration, which really works. And then the contrast with her sisters, who go at all ends of the political spectrum, as we'll see, and it's that sort of ideological playground for the rich that these women will find different outlets for their frustrations at being unable to be educated, to have a job. But what's also really interesting about this story, and I think the way it's told really skillfully, is the fact that it is done in real time. You get the little sprinkle that Diana is going to become, most hated woman in Britain, but otherwise it is told totally chronologically, so you don't have that sort of heavy hand of hindsight over it. And one of the most startling moments for me was not in relation to the women, but you were seeing this sort of young man with his slick-backed hair giving sort of what sounded like very hopeful and encouraging political platitudes about how we need to, fix the country.
It was a fantastic speech.
And then it's, and I'd like to introduce you to Oswald Mosley. And that horror, seeing that sort of unfold with the benefit of hindsight, and yet you can see how compelling that sort of figure is, I think is also really prescient today.
And that narrative. Well, Martin, I'm interested to have a man's perspective on this female-led drama, a great female story. Did it strike the right tone with you?
Well, I'd like to talk about the frocks.
We look to you.
Yeah, indeed. I am the frock correspondent.
You go, girl.
Well, I mean, historic dramas are nothing without the frock.
100%, I agree.
And I would like to just say I've never seen such fabulous frocks in a historical drama. I almost gasped at one point when Diana appeared in a white evening number, and I thought, this, the art department and the wardrobe department here have gone,
yeah,
this is the brief, is it?
Right.
This is the brief.
Will you stick with it, Martin? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I did. No, I loved it. I've been facetious here, but I mean, yeah, the period detail is important. There is always that thing where you take a very personal story like this and you embed it within these historic, these big historic socio-economic movements that sometimes you feel it kind of crunching together, where the unemployed people are outside the debutantes' ball protesting, and you just think, and here's Mr. Churchill's just arriving. Mr. Churchill is a key character in every single historic drama set in the 1920s and 30s. He has to appear at some point. But that apart, I think the thing that I liked about it was, I'm an only child, so I was really interested in these big families and the kind of way that sisters interact with each other, and the way that, Jessica and Unity, who aligned themselves with the most extreme form of politics that you can imagine. Because Jessica, because she's also known as Decca, because they also had like nicknames that kind of, it's a bit confusing. But
that's very aristocratic, so I hear.
Is it? Yeah, I know. Is that my name? No, my nickname, right? So she became a member of the Communist Party, and quite an extreme communist, if that's not a contradiction in terms in itself. It's a tautology or something. But the fact that they maintained more or less a relationship all the way through that is just amazing. So as an only child, I find that quite fascinating.
It was also set against, as you've mentioned, politics is kind of featured within this, but there was a great deal of sort of social unrest and disruption in the background. And, it's nice to hear that ticked the boxes for you. And I'm glad that there were frocks for you, Martin.
Absolutely.
I'm glad that existed. Just very briefly, Platform U.
Never heard of it.
This is what the Mitford Sisters is available on. Never heard of it as well. Well, there we go. This is a first time for us. We are going to be reviewing programmes throughout the show today. Let us know what you're watching. Have we missed a great series? Is there anything that you just think absolutely need to watch? Come and recommend it to us. Let me know. Text 80295 or send a WhatsApp on 08085 92 95 00. And all episodes of Outrageous are available to stream on You. That is the letter U.co.uk now. It airs on Thursday nights on You and Drama.
Since we've started on this show, we've become a big success. We've won awards on top the polls. You've said that we're the best. We don't want to argue because you lot pay our wages, so we'll agree and say that we're the best show on in ages. The Chris Moyle Show, the best show on in ages.
So my producer Lewis has just been mentioning that You is simply a rebrand of UK TV. So there we go. That's what it is. I felt like I had to say the letter U because, of course, with that programme as well on Netflix, YOU. Just there's lots of confusion around it. Anyway, still to come here on BBC Radio Scotland with me, Zara Janjua. There is a new psychological thriller on Prime Video. We will be discussing that very soon. But first, I'm here with my guests, Martin Raymond, Hannah McGill and Ailey Douglas. And it is time to get your moments of the week. Now, Ailey, yours is actually happening right now.
Are about to happen shortly. So what would be my moment of the week if I wasn't sat here in the studio is getting ready for Edinburgh Pride.
Oh, such a celebration, isn't it?
And not just any celebration, but it's the 30th year. So
That's right.
Pride in Scotland, it both feels like something that's been very established and also so very new. Like, I can't believe that it was something that only started in my lifetime. And I think for me, sort of reflecting on not being there this year, it's seen a lot of change over the years that I have, had consciousness of Pride as a celebration, as a protest. Because, I remember marching in the years when Scotland had what was then called the gayest parliament in the world. I remember when the leader of Scottish Labour and the leader of the Scottish Conservatives were both gay women, and how obvious it felt, how genuine a celebration it felt that was just something that happened in this country without question and with acceptance. I was marching in the years when I'd just got married to my wife, and now sort of 8 years later, it feels more like a protest than it did before, and it's seeing that sort of wave over the last decade or so. I remember last year feeling genuinely grateful to my straight colleagues bringing their young families along to Pride to march with us, and that was something that they wanted to bring their kids along to and to feel accepted, because there has been a lot of really dangerous rhetoric about LGBT people in recent years. So I think 30 years both feels like a long time and an incredibly short time in the span of history. So
gosh, well, it's definitely a celebration now, but it's a reminder that it comes from a time of protest, isn't it?
Absolutely, and that it can both go backwards as well as forward. So I think it's definitely feeling a lot more like a protest in recent years. And so I'm sad that I'm not going to be there this year.
We will have to hot foot it across to Edinburgh, I think, after this, and just get a little celebration in, I'm sure. Hannah, school's out.
School is almost out. There's still a few more days of primary school, I think, for my kids in South Lanarkshire. But this has been their leavers week from primary and going to high school in August. So I'm sure a lot of people listening are in this same position of having navigated their little people through one stage of their education. And it's interesting because for one thing, there's a whole raft of celebrations now that happen when you finish primary school, which I don't remember in my day. I may just have had so much fun that I don't remember it.
I just remember taking in presents for the teacher.
I think we gave the teacher a present and we maybe got a cupcake, and I don't remember much else. But now they have a stage show, they have a prom, they go on a trip, they do all kinds of things. And some people object to this, and you do see a little bit of complaining sometimes in areas like, I don't know, Mumsnet, where people are just like, well, it's all gone ridiculous. Fun. It's all gone ridiculous. There's way too much going on. But I must say that actually, I think it's really lovely, because actually that transition is very big in your life. And also, I really appreciate just marking their experience of primary school, because it's been very interesting to observe it as someone who became a mother relatively late on. And so my experience of primary school is a long time ago. And
do you know, if you were feeling emotional, you couldn't tell. You're definitely holding it together well.
Well, I wasn't actually even at the assembly because I've been working, but they did have their big leavers assembly, and so I missed the time when I might have been having a little weep. But it is a gentler thing now. There is much more concern with the kids' well-being than with their academic achievement, which I approve of very strongly at that stage of their development, by the way. And the teachers are just amazing. They have such big class sizes now. They don't have the same status afforded to them or money afforded to them that they used to. We all know that teaching is now a very demanding profession to be in. The expectations are vast. And so just these indefatigable people who have steered with my kids. I'm just very grateful.
A lovely shout out to the teachers at the end of term there from you. And Martin.
Well, I've been getting in connection with my inner druid, and I would like to talk about...
This is about white robes again. So there was the white dress, and now you're in your druid robe.
You've seen me in my white robes. Unfortunately, I've shaved my beard off. But, otherwise, I'd be able
Strong look.
I'd be able to do the druid thing a bit more convincingly. No, I am. I'm convinced that we undervalue and undermark the summer solstice.
Well, Graham was just doing a little interview about it just before the programme came on air, wasn't he?
Some people are on the case, but many aren't. I just think this is quite a magical. I'll stick with the druid stuff. Quite a magical time of the year. Particularly when the weather's so good like this, but even when the weather's not so good. But just the enormous amount of light, and I think there's something quite. I'm going to move into new territory here. Quite spiritual about this.
Yes, I would agree.
Well, I'm not sure whether it's spiritual, whether just haven't enough sleep because, you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
I agree with you so much, in fact, that we are covering it tomorrow on Sunday mornings.
It's a great trail.
It's a very spiritual moment.